How can drones be used after a nuclear disaster? This week, Part 2, Fukushima. Last week I told you that there's a saying in the drone industry that if it's dull, dirty, or dangerous, let a drone do it. And what's more dangerous than a nuclear plant? Last week we talked about Chernobyl. This week, Fukushima. Before we get into that, let me talk about something else for a minute. My wife and I started this company over 4 years ago, and it's been great fun. I never tire of teaching these courses, whether it's our ground school, our flight school, our cinematography and photography, editing, whatever it is, I always enjoy it. But there are some weekends, like this past one, when things just click. Had a great group of students. They were enthusiastic, energetic, asked a lot of questions, and were just as happy as they could be when they left the classroom. I always enjoy those weekends. It makes me feel just that much better. And if you're considering getting into a new business, drones are a consideration. This industry is growing all the time, and there are new applications almost every day. So if you're looking to change careers, add drones to your business, or just add a side hustle, this is something you may want to consider. So that's my plug for today. Now, Fukushima was considered to be the second worst disaster since Chernobyl. And in March of 2011, an earthquake with a magnitude of 9.0 hit off the coast of Fukushima. Now, initially, the reactors sensed that, the telemetry sensed that, and then began an emergency shutdown, which is what should have happened. But then the power grid was knocked out, which meant they couldn't circulate cooling water to the reactors. But they had a backup system. So they started up their backup system, had the power to run the cooling through the reactors. But what they didn't realize at the time was the tsunami that was created was sending a 50-foot high wall of water their direction. Once it hit, it knocked out all the remote power and shut the plant down. Now, at that point, there was no way of circulating cooling water. Pressures rose, temperature rose, and the result was they had 3 reactor meltdowns, 3 hydrogen explosions, and radioactive materials released into the atmosphere. In the years since the disaster, Japan's used a lot of robots. They deal on that all the time. They've used underwater robots, track-based robots, assembly robots, anything they can to try to remove these radioactive materials and keep their personnel out of there. But they haven't done too much with drones. For some years now, the International Atomic Energy Agency has been working on drones as a solution to monitor these kind of disasters, and they've come up with a plan. And they've added certain equipment to these drones to have them sense radioactive materials. They have now developed instrumentation and methodology to allow the drones to carry radiation-detecting instruments, cameras, GPS, and means to have them fly autonomously to check these grounds. These drones also have onboard storage and data processing, and they're able to develop 3D photogrammetry maps and then superimpose the radioactive data on top of that, just like you see above here. This is great data for them. They need this information to be able to decommission this site, and they estimate it's going to take 30 to 40 years to complete. So how does this differ from Chernobyl? If you remember from last week, they contacted Flyability, which had the Helios 2 drone built into a cage, video cameras, and things like that. But that's all it was able to do, was just take video. And while that's all Chernobyl needed, that didn't work for Japan, and that's why they developed this alternative. And that way other countries can use this technology to help them during nuclear emergencies. Now, as a footnote, just about a week or so ago, Fukushima had another earthquake, a 7.3 magnitude this time, occurring off the coast of Fukushima. Now, originally, they said there was no damage, but there has been a drop in pressure in one of the holding tanks that they're concerned about. They did admit that 2 seismometers had been out of order for well over a year. And how are you going to monitor radiation levels if your seismometers aren't working? So they've got ongoing problems too. I hope you're still enjoying these vlogs. I sure enjoy doing them. And if you like them, give me a thumbs up and subscribe down below. And if you'd like to share with your friends, I would greatly appreciate that too. And if you've got a video you'd like to submit shot from your drone, please do so. I'd be happy to include it in a future episode. And thank you for watching.